I've been arguing with people for weeks on this. Ban. Verb. Officially or legally prohibit. Noun. An official or legal prohibition. Curse. The land might be smitten by the ban which one fell upon the Canaanites. Those are the definitions of the word ban. Now, keep that in mind. Quote, Ron DeSantis, yeah, so the whole book ban thing is a hoax. There's not been a single book banned in the state of Florida. You can go buy or use whatever book you want. What we have done is empowered parents with the ability to review the curriculum, to know what books are being used in school, and then to ensure that those books match state standards and are age and developmentally appropriate. So, for example, parents have flagged books in schools that, for example, teach middle school kids how to use sex apps that provide graphic depictions of sex acts and sex toys for people as young as 5th grade. Now, granted, I try to say this whenever I'm having the debate, but there's usually a text limit, so it's hard to say. Like, obviously, I'm not in support of banning anything. I don't like the word ban, which is why I don't like it when people bandy it about without using it properly, because you're not talking about the same thing. The Nazis banned books, okay? The Soviet Union banned books. That was a real ban. The Kingdom of Iran bans books, okay? Alexander Solzhenitsyn's book had to be smuggled out of the fucking Soviet Union so it could be published. Otherwise, he would have been fucking killed. That's a goddamn book ban. A school district deciding to take out pornographic material is not a goddamn ban. Because if you really want your kid to read that book, you can go buy it on Amazon. You can probably find it at a pub. Well, actually, I wonder how many public libraries outside of a school will even have those books.
Yeah, you can buy it for your kid on Amazon, you sick fuck.
Exactly. It's there. You can buy it.
Tell him, Brian.
And this is another example of the left changing definitions. Because when the state of California eliminates a book from a curriculum, first of all, you don't even hear about it, but trust me, it happens. I've got an article to point out here in a minute about Gavin Newsom putting his fucking foot in his mouth. Again. So he did it with the masks, too, by the way.
I don't see how he won his re-election thing or whatever. Like, my eye will not stop watering.
I know, it's real upsetting. It's real sad. But
why would they vote
But
for that guy
here's
again?
the problem with this. When you shift these definitions now, then when there really is a book ban in effect, you've given power to people to already change definitions. Because then, when an actual fascist comes around, they can say, oh no, this book is bad for the general public. I don't know why I lapsed into some weird like French-German proto-accent there. Sorry about that. But then they can say, no, this... Because then you can have an example of like... I feel like Iran would use this, like, this perverts the minds of youth. And then they ban the book. Now, again, you can't do that in the United States because we have the First Amendment. Thanks, founders, for that one. But... you have given justification for changing definitions. That's why definitions are so important, because if you can't agree on what a word means, you can't debate anything, because then it just becomes, well, I don't agree with that definition. And then you start arguing over semantics and nothing gets done. So you can have a problem. You can definitely have a problem with this kind of curation. But then when you don't call it a ban and you say, no, I don't think these books should be eliminated from the curriculum, then you can have a discussion. The problem is, in this case, first of all, none of you have the balls to fight for these books because you know it's fucking wrong.
You know what the biggest issue is?
What?
We're not all using the... most of us, regular Americans, we use the Merriam-Webster dictionary.
Or the Oxford.
If you really want to get to it, the United States government and lawyers... they use different definitions from a different book, and I can't remember what it is. But the thing is, that's why like all that stuff, when you go, say you have a lawyer visit or whatever, that's why you need a lawyer. Because,
well, they have their own. Yeah, there is a legal. I can't remember what it's called.
But the thing is, you can obtain these books.
Yeah.
And then you can understand what they're speaking.
Nobody banned them.
Yeah. Don't ban books. That's just stupid. But like exactly what you're saying. You know, Florida.
I'm not for banning anything. However,
well, they allowed the parents to go through and review the material and say, "Hey, I don't like this."
Every school board in every town all across the country curates what's in their library. It's part of their job.
Yeah.
So this is a matter of perspective. This is a case where, as far as I can tell, certain people were ultra pro LGBT, which, hey, as long as you're not involving kids, I don't give a fuck. Whatever. Even when you get... And again, this is subject to gradation because I think I'm going to make this point here in a bit, but I'll touch on it now. Oh, no, I'm sorry. This was on the blog post that I wrote reacting to this thing on rtmedia.org. I kind of make this point. And this is one of the things that I'm cautious about Ron DeSantis on is because up to this point, I'm right with him. It's some of how militant he can be on some of these things because it's like, look, yeah, for a fifth grader, sure, absolutely. What about a high school junior?
That's rough.
That's what I'm saying. That's rough because...
I would like for them to be able to experience certain literature, but at the same time, like, I don't know, like...
Well, I'll put it to you this way.
Not everybody's mature at that age, and I mean, who knows?
I'm gonna find this excerpt from the blog and read it to you guys because I was actually proud of this blog post.
I'll give you a solution. Something goes home to the parents, and in order to let them check out certain material, and if they don't have it in there, then I mean, you can do this anyway. But
we did it. If they wanted to show us certain kinds of movies, we had to. Like, sometimes it was a permission slip when we were younger, and sometimes it was just like...
But we don't have anything like that for the libraries.
Right, exactly.
You can check out whatever you want.
Let me find this section. I'm actually very proud of this blog.
I'm pretty sure if you're under a certain age, the librarian would be like,
Well, that's what I'm saying, too. So I take this with a grain of salt because, like, in an elementary school library, though, that's hard because in a high school library, at best, you're talking about 9th through 12th grade. Mm-hmm. So then there can be some discretion. But in an elementary school library, that's much harder to do.
Motherfucker's supposed to be reading about the wheels on the bus.
Oh my god, I was not ready for that.
And the boxcar children, you remember them?
Yes, I do.
I don't think they read about that. That's too racy. But we can talk about penises.
No, you can't talk about that, but we're going to talk about penises and girls that have.
It's like, oh, you're 6 years old? And you think you're a girl? Oh, okay, well, don't tell your parents. I've been seeing a lot of that lately. I don't know about 6 years old.
Okay. Excerpt from the blog on rtmedia.org. I highly recommend that you go read it because I'm very proud of this blog post. Then there are his stances on the teaching of gender/sex ideology in schools. Personally, I'm in full agreement that these kinds of things have no place in a classroom in elementary school. However, the lines get blurrier once kids reach middle school and especially high school. Indoctrination is one thing, but there are kids who are legitimately gay or legitimately feel that they are transgender. With these kinds of laws and rules, many teachers and administrators will likely feel too afraid to help these young adults who are truly in need of guidance and potentially resources. It's nice to think that all parents would love and accept their child no matter what, but sadly this is not the case. However minute the number, there are cases where a child is in danger should their parents find out about their sexual orientation. Many independent voters would agree that some of these laws have the potential to go too far without the proper checks, balances, and oversight.
If that child knows that they're in danger by telling?
Well, but there are some provisions where the school is required.
Well, I'm just saying, as the kid, if you said certain thing and you were gonna get beat, would you say it?
No. I'm not talking about the kid saying it. There are certain provisions in some of these, or at least suggestions. I don't know if any of them have actually been made law, but like where if a student says to a teacher or administrator, the school is required by law to inform their parents. I did find an article, though, and I think you sent it to me actually, of a 6th grade girl who ended up committing suicide because of her alleged gender dysphoria. Now, her parents did not know, but apparently faculty members did and were encouraging her down this road.
Oh, allegedly. I would sue the shit out of that school.
They are. But let's take that example, but twist it a bit. I'm going to make it work for me. I'm going to pull a left. So let's say that this person did in fact believe that they were transgender. Like, in their mind, they actually believed this. But the faculty were too afraid to engage with it. I'm going down the wrong road. Now, let's say that law was in place where if this student talked to any member of the faculty, the school then had to tell her parents what happened. Now, let's say that her father is a particularly hateful motherfucker who is not willing to listen and, have a discussion, and instead decides that he doesn't want to, not his kid, and unfortunately it happens, and hurts or otherwise, like, I would hope they wouldn't kill anybody, but it's happened. That's a situation that I would never want to happen, especially if you're dealing with a young adult who is maybe just confused. Like, it happens. And unfortunately, not everybody's parents are open-minded enough to have a discussion. Like, people ask me all the time, it's like, what would you do if your kid said they were gay? I said, well, it depends on the age, honestly. Like, if my 8-year-old comes up to me and says, Dad, I'm gay, I'm just like, oh, pump the brakes. Like, you don't know what the fuck you are. You don't even know.
First of all, I would ask them, what does gay mean to you?
There you go. But that's still an enlightenment.
And they'd be like, well, someone told me this. And I'd be like, well, so-and-so doesn't know what they're talking about.
Yeah.
Because, but like, do you like men? Like, you know.
To me, an 8-year-old.
I would just be quiet because they don't know what they're talking about.
Well, I was going to say, because to me, an 8-year-old doesn't even have any idea what, like, an 8-year-old doesn't even know what they're sexually attracted to. The word sexuality and 8-year-olds should not be in the same goddamn sentence.
Like, bro, my 7-year-old, his favorite thing is cheese.
Exactly. Like,
just let's put that in perspective.
I mean, cheese, while awesome,
cheese is good, but I'm just saying, like his whole life revolves around cheese. Well, and now vanilla stuff.
That's how it should be, though.
Hates chocolate.
Now, if my 17-year-old came up to me and said, Dad, I'm gay, I'd probably be like, well,
okay,
I guess you're gay. Like, fair enough. What do you want for dinner? Like,
for one, for the most part, I would say like 90% of people who are gay, you typically already know.
Yeah, like I'm willing to bet most of the time it would be like, well, yeah, okay.
Like, okay, so you finally decided to tell me?
Just be like, oh, honey, everybody knows.
It's like, I don't really care, but like at the same time, like, you don't have to have kids, but as a parent, you would like to eventually have grandkids.
Well, and actually, I've heard more than one account say that. Maybe this is going back a ways, but
in vitro fertilization is like weird. So.
Well, but for some parents, they say that
unless
your child coming out is almost like their child dying because not all that potential, but like potential for that. Well,
I know what you're saying.
This, I'm not saying it. I'm saying people have said it like that because in the context of like in their heads, parents have probably seen like a future they would like to see for their kid, and now
right
in some ways that's gone. So
and it's like I'm not. I mean, yeah, I guess I would consider myself conservative. It's like I'm really strict on abortion, and I'm really strict on certain other things. But like, if the kid says they're gay and they're proper age, whatever.
Hey, think about it this way: if your kids are gay, you don't have to worry about them getting abortions. Win-win, conservatives. Checkmate.
That's fucked up.
I know, it's very fucked up.
That was good though.
Boom. Okay, so DeSantis continues. Then he tells a story about when he was having, and I remember when this happened. He was telling a story about how when he was giving a press conference on the 6 o'clock news, he read and showed some excerpts from some of the books that were being objected to in the children's classrooms. And now he said the local news had to cut the feed. Not all of them did, but many of them did, because it was, quote, not appropriate for the 6 o'clock news.
But it's okay for 6-year-olds.
And Ron DeSantis just did the proverbial mic drop. It's like, well, there you go. Now, like, as far as I know, like, facts and logic here, you're done. If it's not appropriate for the 6 o'clock news, it sure as fuck isn't appropriate for a 3rd grader. Should have been end of story, but...
They're trying to take away their rights. And it's like, they're under 18. They ain't got no rights. Their parents have rights.
They have rights, but I know what you mean.